welcome back to Window Chats with Robyn. And as promised, I have worked on a theme song. Bear with me. Oh, okay. The words, there's very little, but I'm nervous, so here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8, sitting by my window chatting with Andre today. Window Chats with Robyn. Internet please work and hopefully no tech delays. Window Chats with Robyn. Window Chats, yeah. It's a work in progress, but I think it's going somewhere. I see Andre's here. Maybe he got to hear that beautiful masterpiece. You never know. It needs to be worked out a bit more, but I put myself out there. I made a promise, and I delivered. You're welcome, loyal followers. Hi, Andre.
Hey, what's up?
Did you catch that attempt at a medley? I think it needs a little work, but
No, I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I was also singing a similar tune earlier because I'm
you get
the tech delays. Yeah.
You have your own theme song, of course, right?
Yeah, and there's always tech delays whenever I try to do anything on the internet. So.
I mean, that's the thing. I've realized I have to live in the awkward pauses with these Instagram lives. But thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I think we scheduled this a week ago, so I was like anticipating it, but it's finally here. Awesome.
It's so funny because since then we've been on a Clubhouse chat together, and you're always doing stuff. You have the new Monologue Slam coming out, 10th year anniversary. What?
Right.
And you're keeping busy.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, but I'm not as busy as you. Everywhere I go, you're there. So I really appreciate your hustle, and I appreciate everything you do, and love the energy you put out in the community.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I love connecting with other people, and I was so grateful that it was so funny. I have to share the story because it made my day so much. It's like for any self-doubting actor. I invited you a while back, and I hadn't heard from you, and I thought, okay, that's fine. And then I saw Monologue Slam joined one of my lives just to watch it, and I thought, oh God, did Andre hate it so badly that he just didn't want to do it? And then we learned there was an email issue. But in the meantime, I thought that was such an interesting moment of, you know what, Robyn? It's okay. This doesn't resonate with everyone. Keep going, find some new guests. It's okay. So that was interesting. But then you reached out and you're like, yes, okay, cool. He's in. So that's an overshare for the group, but I thought it was worth sharing.
No, it's a common thing, and I do it all the time. I think, you assume this is why things are happening, and and I thought I had replied to you, and so I'm like, well, okay, she didn't follow up. And then I saw in my email that I forgot to press send, so I was like, so random. But I do that all the time, and you overthink things, and it's 90%, it's never the reason you're thinking it.
Which, I mean, it's good to know, right? We're our own worst enemies, and the scenarios I cook up in my head rarely happen in real life. They're very creative.
Mm-hmm.
to such an extent that I think, oh my God, maybe this is a movie. We'll see. Ooh, I heard was that a buzzing noise? Maybe Andre did not follow my explicit instructions, which was, please put this on do not disturb mode, sir.
Yes, I just did that. I left out that specific detail. Anyways.
You're very popular. It's okay.
No, even with the notifications off, I think there's still like web apps that still keep buzzing in. So
they will find you.
Yeah.
Anything that Instagram can do to make this unsuccessful, they are throwing my way. And as a comedian, improver, I'm like, you know what? Bring it. Let's do it. And I say that with trepidation because let's just make sure the connection's okay. So.
Yeah, I was wondering, I was thinking, because I rarely do anything from my personal account. I was like, oh, should I have done this for Monologue Slam? It's like information for actors kind of thing. But anyways.
It's all good. I think a lot of people know who you are. And if not, they should.
So. I rarely use my own personal account. It's very rare. But anyways, yeah, happy to, answer any questions and chat with anybody either way.
Absolutely. And that's fair. If anyone wants to put questions in the chat, there's a question box, at least on my end. So write some questions. But also, I just want to chat with you about you in general and all the things that you do. And I know on Clubhouse last week, you shared how you came to be you. but would you be open to kind of sharing your experience in the film industry to an extent, as brief as you want it to be, as long as you want it to be? It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of joining or starting the Monologue Slam, I definitely, as you know, it's our 10th year anniversary. So 10 years ago, this was just an idea that me and Olenike were kicking around. It's something that she had done in New York. And I thought, wow, all the stories from New York and being there, they had this amazing energy and all this stuff for actors to do constantly. And I said, why don't we have that in Toronto? And I wasn't involved in the community then, but she says, I don't know. I was like, well, what if we brought some of that stuff here? And it started as like a church program for like I think 2 years, and then eventually we brought it to the mainstream. And I didn't think at all it would be anything like it was, because I'm like, actors doing monologues. I didn't know how many actors there were in the city at the time. But yeah, it just kind of took off from there, and now it's like 10 years later, you look back and you're like, wow, like have I been really doing it that long? And every month I'm like, am I gonna do it another month? And then it starts to pile up.
Absolutely. But I mean, not only have you been doing it you were doing it in person back in the day, but every month now online, including an international category. I mean, and you're doing it for free, which is, as an actor that, whatever the pay is, I'm very grateful for anything free where I can put my stuff out there. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it was we actually, it was crazy because we shut down at about March of last year, after we were at Bad Dog at the time and they had closed. And then we decided to follow suit. And then we realized, everybody was already online and there's no reason that we couldn't keep going. So it was like just a weird decision. I think we sent a cancellation notice, and then a new monologue slam started within the same hour. So it was probably confusing to people. But yeah, it's been amazing to do it, for us to grow the platform, to grow our audience, and we just keep responding to the demand, and it's great. Like even seeing all the people around the world submitting, and because there are monologue slams in different countries and different cities, but to know that we're doing something that is at a place where people from all over the world are coming, and I do like to say that this is. We have the best monologue slam in the world. I think we do. And, and it goes to what we want to do in Canada as a whole, is just to have the best industry in the world and the best actors in the world. So.
But I love that. And it keeps everyone on their toes. And honestly, you have built such an interesting community, because when I reach out to people, I've never met them in person. I've seen their monologues online. And I was talking to Tara about this on Friday. I feel like I know them just by seeing their monologues. And it's such a weird concept where you go, I get a sense of this person based on what they are submitting on a monthly basis. It's very unifying.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Like you do this so long, and then when you finally see people, you're like, oh hey, and like you forget that you haven't actually met this person in real life, and yeah, you become so connected to their work and their pieces. I so many times, even with the live slam, I would run into people, and we just start talking, and I'm like, wait a minute, we've never actually met. So yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing. I love the communities, even the sub communities that are built, people who get together and start their own little production groups or theater groups. I think that's one of the amazing things, is just getting people in the same room, and the stuff that's happening off the stage kind of thing is really interesting.
Absolutely. You can definitely, there's so many people that I'm connecting with that I go, oh, I can't wait till we do something together, because it's that, you're like-minded, or you just like how they present. Maybe they do the same monologue as you, but took a different spin. You go, I like how you think. Let's collaborate. So there's just so many opportunities to network and meet amazing people.
Yeah, absolutely. Countless people that I've met, or actors that I've come online, and even different things that I've gotten to be a part of doing this. I've gotten involved in ACTRA, I've done the conferences in Theatre Ontario. I advocate a lot for things within the industry, behind the scenes on different levels in the city and everything. So yeah, it's just really given me a good perspective, being also a writer, a producer, an agent, and everything. It gives me a good perspective of the industry, and having an ear to the ground really, helps to inform what I think the industry needs and how I can be of assistance.
Absolutely. And it's so funny when I remember when I had the privilege of doing the last in-person monologue slam, and that feels like such a badge of honor, but I will wear it with pride. But I remember the judge was Sud Sutherland, if I'm not mistaken. And I just saw, I'm watching Ginny and George. I'm like, oh, he directed that, but he judged my monologue slam. Oh my gosh. So it's so cool. All these different people that you meet at these events. I got excited when I saw he directed a show. So yeah.
Yeah, and he's such an awesome supporter. Like he's done a bunch, and he's just always been supportive. And his wife Jennifer Holness is also just a beast in this industry, and doing. She has a documentary out now, and they're just a brilliant, powerful people. And yeah, I love all the people that have been so supportive. All the casting directors, all the agents, all the producers, everybody who's come on board. I just want to create. It's like Clubhouse. You see how supportive. You really see how supportive the people, even if they're successful, even if they're at a certain level in the industry, there's a level of support that they do want to kind of mentor and like really support the next generation of talent. So it's
Absolutely. It was so, this was so weird this morning. I like to share random reels that I think are funny in my head. So I was trying to film something the other day, and I had to film something where in my head, I wanted to start on the ground and end up standing. And I live downtown Toronto, so good luck with that. So I just shared a little clip of my setup, and the feedback I got from actors like, okay, here's how you can do it a little better, or oh my gosh, I feel you, the full body is so frustrating. It was amazing. I was not expecting that. It's like, yeah, we're here for you, we get it, let's struggle through together, or here's another option. I go, oh my God, community, thank you. Very grateful.
Yeah, there's so many little tips and tricks, and there's no handbook, there's no website that says specifically like this is all the information for this industry. It's very mysterious. Even when I'm on these chats and I hear people ask these kind of questions, about like, different things like scams and all these different pitfalls that they fall into. And from my perspective, I'm like, wow, how is that still a thing? But you'd be surprised. There's just not like general information about anything in this industry. So it's important for actors to share those experiences, even the small details, like what's a better slate, what to do, how to look for an agent, all these kind of things. It's very important because there's no one way to do this. Even when you go to school, if you go to a theater or film TV program, it's not very straightforward. Like, it's not really anybody's going to hand you the information. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so I know that and I don't mean to keep bringing up slates, but I learned today this was a really cool way to do a slate that I've never seen before. So this one, I don't know who created it, but essentially they vertically film their whole body, and then they do a split screen with themselves saying, hi, my name is Robyn Deverett. I don't know, option to show the hands, whatever other things are in the slate. And I thought that is so cool, because then I don't have to do that awkward, how do I fit my whole body in? I just do a little split screen. But I'm like, is that allowed? Do people want that? So I'm digesting that. I don't know if you've seen that before as an agent.
I've seen it. Somebody, Carrie, one of the actors on my roster, introduced that, and she's just like brilliant. She always has some cool thing, and she did that, and I was like, wow, that's really creative. And I've kind of shared it with people, and like, everybody has their different. They're like, I don't know about that, but I it's hard to tell because like I don't know on the other side if that works. It'd be funny. I think this is one of those things I could ask in like the Clubhouse room or something like that. But I thought it was really clever. I really like that.
I thought it was, yeah, exactly. Because you're like, look, here's my mid torso, but oh, here's the whole thing. That is my body. But then it's like, oh, okay, fine. I guess I have to dress up more than the top. Fine, okay. So,
Right.
laziness versus aesthetically pleasing slate shot. Really a balance there.
Yeah, I do a lot of self tapes, and I hate slating. It's just, but
I honestly, when I talk to any actor, that is the worst part. And it's so weird because it's your name, right? And then it's, okay, wait, do you want me to be myself? Or wait, should I be the character? Or how much fun should I have with that? Okay, I don't know. What do I do with my hands? It's just it's so awkward. And there's no, and I've listened to so many talks from casting directors offered through so many different platforms, and everyone has something different they want to see.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we just all agree? No? Okay, all right. That's what makes the industry fun. Okay.
One thing I've learned with slam is like there's no consensus. You know that everybody has a different perspective and opinion, and you could be a star to one casting director and like trash to somebody else, and you know, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. You kind of gotta find the people that are fans and you know and build with them, kind of thing. Same thing with agents and anybody.
Well, it was interesting too when we were discussing the winners of the monologue slams and how when you have multiple casting directors, just because someone won, it doesn't mean that every casting director agreed because it's a scoring system. And I thought that was so interesting. Like, oh, it's not a general consensus that that person should be in first. Huh.
Yeah,
Fun fact. Okay.
yeah. In the live version, it was a general consensus because they had their notes, but then they kind of have to say okay, and then they sort of talk it through. In the online version, it's very much a point system, and they submit their votes like without knowing what anybody else is doing. And then essentially, so you could have somebody in first place, and they don't even go to then they're not even top three, based on how it's scored. So yeah, it's interesting, but it's rough because but at the end of the day, like it's still to you, the actor, if you know that this casting director really appreciates your work, then that's still useful information that you can say, okay, well, I know that this is kind of where I can focus, and I spoke about specificity in one of the chats, and I think that's where you can begin to like focus your approach and say, okay, what are this person casting? You know what I mean? Rather than being all over the place, and there will be casting directors that just don't really care for your work. It's just not their cup of tea. And what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Why not focus on the four or three or four that do like your work, and get to know their projects, get to know their process, get to know what slates they like. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Because that's what matters. Why it doesn't matter what the people don't like you want.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
and I love that you brought up again specificity because after our chat on Clubhouse, it was so powerful in the sense of, oh no, you disappeared. Ah, the power of disappearing on. Are you back? No, you blinked. You're good. I
Yeah.
think. Okay. Oh,
Possible.
that was very dramatic, Andre. I did not appreciate that. My heart skipped a beat. Anyways, specificity. When we were discussing, it's like figure out what you're good at and get so much better at it so you're at the top. So I know for me, I'm like, okay, fine. Let's focus on comedy. Let's become that comedic gem that no one can live without and figure out how to get there versus, oh, yes, I'm an actor. I want to do everything. I can do everything because I don't know if that's realistic. And I thought that was such a helpful piece of advice that you shared with us.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think you can grow your craft and branch out and do different things. But when you're starting out, you want to be identifiable. Like these are people writing these stories are storytellers, and they have people in mind, they have characters in mind when they write. And the goal is really when you get these kind of things for casting as well, is to see the person have all the elements that you need to showcase yourself as that character, or as in the wheelhouse of a consideration for that character. And then just be able to execute that in your craft so that they know that, hey, this person can do this on set and competent in executing at whatever level, whether it's an actor level or principal level or whatever. That's it. And then eventually you can, branch out as far as you want. But I think specificity in the beginning is important. You know what I mean?
I got very specific. This is a fun, weird story. I was chatting again. I had a Friday chat. And I was saying, this is the role I want for now. I want to be your friendly neighborhood stalker, like this comedic stalker, that kind of person. And then I ended this class I'm doing now. She's like, gave me a specific script for it. And I'm like, was she watching that? Because this is so weird. I'm putting out vibes that it's like, if you need a friendly neighborhood stalker, hi. That person that doesn't realize that they're creepy and is just there, and you can't hate them, but also, oh my God, they're so creepy. So that is an odd character that I think is super specific. And if I can nail that, I branch out accordingly. This is my vision board. Okay.
Yeah, and it might have all the colors, you have so many colors, like you have like a kind of a teacher vibe, you have all these kind of, you know what I mean, I would see every day.
I think it should be a teacher that stalks her kids. Uh,
Yeah, and you can have like, you know, maybe you have five, six strong hits in there in your wheelhouse, and you work on like executing that, and what does that look like in the projects that, you know, that I'm going out for. I think that's important to nail down.
as
Yeah.
opposed to just being like, yes, I play a mom.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
you know, you could play, but you have your version of it that, you know, can stand out or whatever. Because like some people are just really don't read as anything, and then it's like work for me to like imagine you doing it. You know what I mean? As a writer,
right.
because I do a lot of things where I'm writing based on the characters. Like I just did the ACTRA program where we were I had to write and direct some demo reels. And so you're working with what you have. Like I'm not casting it. I'm basically getting two actors and saying, okay, here's what I'm going to develop. And doing that, I really learned a lot about the casting process. And literally, I was just like, there's two people, and I'm like, I already see you as something. This is easy, right? Versus two other people who are like, okay, you could be anything. I really got to work. So I imagine that, you know, you kind of want to walk into any role with them thinking, oh, that's you. So yeah, it's definitely being specific and not, you know, I think there's a lot of general acting happening.
Well, I think, you know what's really hard? It's realizing, and this took me such a long time to realize, it's okay. Versus thinking, going from thinking, what do they want to see versus what can I bring to the role? And when you have that kind of mind shift, you go, okay, this is what I bring. This is how I would do this character. This is me being me. And if it resonates, cool. If not, we tried versus trying to be something that you're not. And then it just makes it uncomfortable for everyone to watch. So.
Hmm. Absolutely. Um, Sorry, I'm looking at this.
No,
I
that's
wanted
okay.
to,
Honestly, Andre, you are literally not moving. Your face was just so still that I thought, did he cut out? I have to. I'm very much a hand talker. I move, and you're just the stillness I admire greatly.
I'll try to blink more. Yeah. No, I was staring at the thing, and I'm thinking about like I kind of want to jump over to the monologue slam page because I'm like I feel
Oh,
like, you know, sharing the information, but I don't know how this works. Can I do that, or can I? Uh,
we. I can start again.
can you what? Can you invite me there or something?
Do you
That
want
might
me? I can restart it. Interesting. Yes. Let's.
maybe.
Okay. Wait. Do you have? If you have the monologue account, guys, this is troubleshooting with Andre and Robyn. Monologue Slam. So I sent a request to Monologue Slam account. And so if you've got a request there,
All right, let
maybe
me
it'll work.
see. I
Uh,
stand by.
okay, guys, I'm nervous. Andre left, but he might return as the Monologue Slam. Anything can happen. Just when I think I figured out Instagram Live, Andre threw a curve. Joining in with another account. Will it work today? All of you still watching, we'll find out. Ooh, in the meantime, there were comments that were said, and I don't want to ignore them. Let's go back. See, now I have to ignore them because Andre's here. Okay, well, we'll get back to them. Thank you for staying with us. Now, does it work? Is he coming back in? I don't know. Da, 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 da. That song is just made up. It's not really a song yet. But I invited him in. In the meantime, all right. They're not able to join. Pourquoi? Madua nilo mavina? Why not throw in random languages just to not share how upset and disappointed I am with you, Instagram Live? I'm like an old Jewish mother. Why can't we get this right? Dear God. I just throw voices when I'm uncomfortable. Katie! You are.
Back.
I was 5 personalities since you've been gone. But there were some comments that were said. Rice and Teas appreciates the great platform for actors to develop their craft and get exposure and opportunity. Thank you for writing that, Rice and Teas. You got a lot of fire from Dennis Langley. Thank you, Dennis. Also, Dennis says you're a great man.
Fire himself.
Exclamation mark. Esther did a wave. Hello, Esther. And oh, there is the thumb thing. I guess that's okay. What is this? Good job.
Hey, yeah.
That's also from Dennis. He's very invested. Thank you, Dennis. All right, we're good now. I've caught up with all the comments. And you're back as the Monologue Slam. You are two people right now. Split personality.
Yeah, I figured like I wanted to, I feel like if we're gonna share some information, let's get it out to some more people. Yeah, and I want to make sure to tell everybody to join Clubhouse. It's such a great platform. It's so lacking in Canadians. Canadians, where are you at? Please get on Clubhouse. Follow Robyn on Clubhouse. She's super active.
Yeah.
Got a lot of great rooms. But yeah, like when I go on there and I see how much information is available, free and available, and it's just astounding. And then but most of it's like American, so it's kind of like, yeah. Well, yeah, I know it's not for Apple yet, unfortunately.
Latest Clubhouse update. They are now opening it first because why not? That's how they roll. Throw in some shade on Canada. But eventually, Android users. So, who started a club, right? You started a Monologue Slam club on Clubhouse, which is awesome.
Yes, I did. I haven't done anything yet, but yeah, I look forward to putting together a room. I got my feet wet in your room, and it was awesome. And finally got rid of the party hat. If you're not on Clubhouse, you don't know what that means, but it's kind of a big deal to lose your party hat. So thank you.
Honestly, it's such an if you have a party hat, it means you're new to Clubhouse, and that's just essentially we wanted to rid you of the party hat. It's odd. It's inviting, but also shaming you for just joining.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of kinks in the platform, but it's just the amount of information that is available from the level of speakers and people and casting directors and producers. Like, there's definitely a lot of things on there that are like, but I think it's a great place to be. It's free information, and I think Canadians should definitely get on it. So I'm going to keep plugging it as much as possible. I look forward to sharing more information on there with regards to some of the things that we try to put out with Monologue Slam, some of the notes that we try to put out. We have a new round coming out, and each round is another opportunity to improve. And to do that, it means that we got to continually share information on what are the tips and tricks, what to do right. The format of the slam is based on things that we think will help you advance your career or to do better in the room. So I think it's really important that people kind of really read the tips and the information that are on the website, but also just look at what people are doing that win. There's a lot of people who take the notes super seriously, and we can see month to month that they're really improving those pieces.
I get it. I'm not listening to the notes. I hear you. I'm trying. Okay.
Hey, that's all it is. I say, listen, that's why we do it every month. We just say keep going. Even if it's working, what are you working on this month? That's the question. It's always like you don't have to work on everything, but work on one thing this month.
Ooh, someone just said they got casted from Monologue Slam. Whoa.
Yay. Congrats. Awesome.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's what it's about. It's about
Oh, I was talking, but then you were talking, and there's a delay. So, yeah. But I want to say what I love about the Monologue Slam and the accessibility is when we were discussing this previously, it was so interesting to look. I've never won. I like to put myself out there, and when you put yourself out there, it's kind of you're not failing just because you didn't win that you're failing. It just means that you're trying. And So I know when we discussed on Clubhouse how I took down all my monologues that I hated and didn't resonate with Robyn. We grow from here and it's just going forward, but we have to accept where I was last year versus this year. So there's no shame in your previous work, but just hopefully you learn and you get better. And even when I was watching it, I thought, yes, okay, all these notes that they were saying, I can see what was going on here. I give it happen there. I still like some of the choices, but if I were to do it again, so yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's you have this archive of your work. You have specific things that you can look on, whether it's your eye line, whether it's your breathing, whether it's your listening. We try to be specific in all the categories that we look at so that you can, as an actor, you can kind of look at them differently. It's just like being an athlete, right? You look at the different areas that you may be stronger in some things than you are in others. And it's about taking the time to do that. And it's such a gift. Like I participate in writing, these writing competitions, but they're like once, I don't know, I think they're once every like 3 months. And, I wish there was monthly because I would love to put my work up and hear, and get it read monthly. I would love that. I'm still waiting for somebody to do that. But it's such a gift to me that I know how important it is. And consistency is the key to excellence, I think.
I'm already thinking of an idea for you, Andre. I'm like, if you write monologues, just get someone to perform it and see what happens. You put it out there.
Oddly enough, I am terrible at writing monologues. I write like I can write a script of back and forth or shorts. I write a lot of shorts. But for whatever reason, I can't write a monologue to save my life. So there's a craft there. People who write monologues, it's definitely a skill.
Well, it's so when you write a monologue, it's realizing, okay, why is this a monologue? Why is no one interrupting me? Trying to justify it accordingly. And so I know for at least 4 or 5 rounds, I insisted on writing them. And then I thought, you know what, Robyn, let's leave it to the experts and let's just take a monologue and go with it. But guys, it's hard. It's very hard to write that monologue.
Yeah, and it's I think I think my approach would be to write a scene and write a monologue within that scene because what a monologue needs as a writer and even as an actor is a context. You need to know where you're coming from and where the scene's going, and I think that helps. So I think going at it just writing a monologue sometimes is difficult because it ends up being this fitting in this weird space of it's not coming from anywhere and it's not going anywhere. It's just a thing that was said or a story that was told. And I believe it has to be active. Why did I start speaking in the first place kind of thing. So it's something I want to improve on, but we love a lot of the self-written submissions and there's been some amazing ones and I definitely would love to keep encouraging that.
Definitely. And Andre, can you please share, do you remember when you were saying on Clubhouse how you did essentially a short, insane, but also incredible?
Yeah, so I can't remember, I think it was like 2017 or 2016. I had produced a short film with a good friend, Aisha, who's an amazing writer. She's written for Orphan Black. She's huge now. And, she had a script and I produced it. I didn't do anything at the time. I didn't write or do anything. I was just putting it together and helping her get it off the ground. And I just loved the experience so much. And then I was like addicted. And I was like, okay, do you have any more scripts? Does anybody want to do something else? And, it's very hard to get all those components together. And also expensive. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out a way. It's like a drug. I was like, I got to figure out a way to get a hit like every month. So I said, okay, let me start with what I could do. And I just went out, I got a camera, sound. Watched a lot of YouTube videos. And I eventually just started to shoot these things. And it came out a lot better than I thought. And they looked pretty decent. And eventually I was shooting and doing sound and writing and editing all of them. And I would do them sometimes all in one day. And the reason being is I wanted to encourage other people to get into it and to, no more excuses, because every time I asked actors why they didn't have a reel or whatever, they'd say a thing, or somebody was looking for funding for something. And I'm like, well, if you can't even do this, why even go that level? So I just wanted to do it, and surprisingly I just kept. It was like monologue slam essentially. Every month I would do my own thing, and I would say, what did I do wrong? What could I do more efficiently? How can I edit it better? And it just became a thing. It became addictive, and I just started shooting them. I think I did once a week at one point. So I did one. I would count them, and one year I would do like 60, and the next year I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do 70 shorts, and yeah, did quite a bit. Yeah.
So 70 shorts in a year, that's more than one a week. So
I don't remember. It's something crazy like that. And it's actually funny because the first one that I did, I didn't shoot this one. I worked with the DOP. I directed. It was my first time directing. It was with two amazing actors, Lavelle Adams-Gray, who's just phenomenal and doing amazing things, and Zara Bentham, who's also doing amazing things. And they were just coming back from CFC, and we just shot this thing in a kitchen. And it ended up being a beautiful piece called War on Love. And yeah, years later, I got reached out. A network reached out and said they want to use it on their program and put it in a festival. And I was like, how did you even find it? So yeah, it was just amazing. So just keep working. You know, people are looking for content. So just keep doing your thing and honing your craft.
what, how did they find it? Was it on YouTube or something?
Vimeo, and
Vimeo. Okay.
yeah, they were just out looking for Vimeo content, and they found our little project, and they wanted to use it. The U.S. network. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
That wasn't it. Okay, I printed this off because I couldn't remember. Yes, the it was on the Inspire network, which is owned by Magic Johnson.
Yeah,
What? I thought that was really cool.
yeah, it was pretty crazy.
But you know,
Um,
you're also you're create right. You're I just thought that was so inspiring because I know again after our clubhouse, I said, okay, what have I been putting off? And I think I redid all my Actors Access slate shots because I'm still struggling with saying my name. And it's just a couple other things where I just reshared things. I'm like, you know what? It's not good, but I'm going to be open with what it was in the past. And it was just such a great way to like, what's holding you back? Why are you making excuses? The excuses are silly. Just do it. It was very much like a Nike campaign. Just do it. So I tried to do it.
yeah, and that's what it is. You just start with where you are. There's just so much information available out there to get these things done. Whatever you want to do, whether it's lighting, camera angles, directing, there's so much information. So there's really no excuse in 2021 not to do anything, you know, maybe brain surgery, but everything else is
Yeah, maybe
on.
don't do that. That's the thing, right? You're writing, you're creating, you're doing, it's just, I just love that so much and figuring out, yeah, you know what? This one might not be the best, but I'm going to learn from this situation and the next one will be better. Because I don't know if you do this. I like to torture myself. It's very healthy. And I watch my past content and I go, dear God, what was I even filming with? That's not something I should ever film with again. So it's a life lesson and humbling, but also inspiring to see, okay, I've come this far, right?
Yeah, I always, and I have the same thoughts. So, you know, I think every creative person does. And if you don't, then you know what I mean. It's just like, you know, if you're trying to be better, you're gonna think that, right? But you know, as long as you know that you're going to do it again, and that's the fun. Like I looked forward to it. Even with like Monologue Slam, I think, you know, even though I'm not doing monologue, like I still every month I'm like, okay, I could do this better. I could have written something better. I could have done a better full poster. So, and I look forward to that. Like, you know, even though I look back and I'm like, oh, idiot, what were you thinking? I still look forward to being like, okay, I'm gonna crush it next month. I'm so gonna crush it next month. And when you don't, you crush it the month after
That's the
that.
thing. Then there's another month, right? It's not, oh
No,
my God, I'm the worst. It's
mhm,
okay. No, there's another month. Still time. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep trying.
mhm. Yeah, and I really hope people kind of use this opportunity to, you know, get better. And what's up, Olunike? Use this opportunity to continue to, you know, sharpen the sword. You know, just continually improve. Um, really focus on your strengths and your weaknesses, and build your craft. You know what I mean? There's time to do it, and um, you know, I think that's what we want is consistency.
Absolutely. And the thing is too, what you were saying before, right? You always put, I know you did a bunch of Instagram lives at one point explaining the monologue slam. And again, we talked about Clubhouse, not everyone has it, but watch what other people do. Watch yourself, watch your other past monologues and take that feedback and think, okay, where are these moments where I'm not using the feedback? What's going on? How can I make it better? And I think that'll really help. I say that again, still not a winner, but I am being a lot more self-critical instead of thinking everything's amazing and, oh, how dare I not win? Oh, so sad and dramatic. It's like, no, I didn't, this wasn't that good. So there you go. That's what happened.
Yeah, I think you do have to, because your work is being, at all times, whether it's slam or anywhere else, it's being observed by other people, and it's being judged by other people. And again, everybody has their own opinion. It's always subjective. One person can think you're a genius, and the next person's going to hate it. So you don't want to overthink it. But at the same time, one thing that we found, especially doing this virtually, is there are very common things. Like, we created our own algorithm. There's very common things that you can do right and do wrong. We put them on the website. We put them in a lot of chats. And, some people really pay attention to them, and they're like, I can see that development because we watch all of them, right? But there are some people who are like, I'm just doing this thing, and, I'm just going to keep doing this thing, and not really paying attention to, which is also fine, because, whatever, do your thing. It's all good. We're here for that too. But, we do put the notes for a reason. I'm always trying to figure out, I don't know if join Clubhouse, maybe we do more lives. I don't know. We're just always trying to be like, here is the information. If the time limit is 2 minutes and you're doing it at 4 minutes, I can't help you. You know what I mean? So it does matter. Like and it's just like reading anything. Like, when an actor gets an audition, there's so many details to read and pay attention to that you do get dinged for from the casting director. So it's just an exercise in that is applicable to the industry. So the people who are not following those at Slam, I'm like, well, yeah.
It's for joy and development, never the result, but rather the process. Ooh.
100%. That is from Olenike, who is the co-founder and who is out shooting right now somewhere in the world. Project and killing it. Yeah, that's what it's about. That's why it started. People will see your progression because you're focused on process. Yeah, it's a very process. It's not, I think there are people who are process oriented and people who are result oriented. I think if you're result oriented, this would be a stressful platform. You know what I mean?
It is. Look, again, I had to do a whole mindset shift from being, okay, it's not about winning. It's about just creating content and getting better, because it is really hard, right? It's, if you're not booking and you're not winning anything, go, oh my God, I'm such a loser. This sucks, right? And you get really in your head because you're the hardest critic on yourself. So it is a struggle, but you have to just don't do that. Don't do what I do. It's very unhealthy. I can't say that in so many lives.
Yeah, it also makes it more difficult to follow the notes. For instance, there are people who will read the instructions of how to program a VCR, and there's people who won't. So, there's different mindsets, and, maybe it depends on the project, but, I think when you have that kind of result focus, it tends to be, okay, I want the result based on this thing that I'm doing, and it tends to be a block to really being like, okay, let me focus on the information. Let me read the instructions. If you're process oriented, this will probably be a better competition for you, because there is a lot to learn and there's a lot of things to change each month, and you also have the opportunity to do that. But that's only if you're process focused. You got to imagine, the artist, the craft that I want to have years from now, rather than being like, oh, okay, well, I need to be a movie star tomorrow morning. There's different mindsets. Yeah,
absolutely. And I love, again, some of the feedback where it's, okay, focus on the moment before and after, which is so important. And I love when you say, okay, the timing, I have seen people submit over time, and that oddly bothers me. I don't know why. I'm like, guys, there's a time limit, respect it. But again, you share them anyways. I'm like, I'll watch it, but whatever. And there's another, I love when you say have more fun with it, because I'm like, I don't know. I think I have a lot of fun. But how much fun is too much fun? I want to put that out there.
I mean, there's never too much fun, right? I mean,
Oh, you
Yeah.
say that. It's going to
Uh,
be a circus monologue this round. Watch out. Okay.
well, I mean, it depends because like you could be doing a monologue as a serial killer and it's very dark
Yes.
and whatever, and still be having a blast. You know what I mean? So the artist should always be having fun. You know, I do self tapes with some people, and it's like they're just like not having fun at all. I think I always say, well, why would you do this as a craft? This would be painful. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to do anything that's painful. And so you have to have a blast. If you have a blast getting it wrong, if you have a blast figuring out where you went wrong, if you have a blast trying again, you should have a blast at all times doing this. This is like, this is it's a tough crap, but it's also you're an artist and this is what you want to do. So there should never be that, you should always have whether it's a crazy thing. Yep, American Psycho is fun. Yeah, like I watch some of the darkest roles and some of the most flattest roles, some of the most serious roles, and you know that that actor is inside their artist is having a blast doing that.
Absolutely. There was another bombshell that was dropped. Oh my gosh, words of wisdom today. If you're result oriented, your wins won't feel like wins. You'll develop an entitlement that doesn't serve your community. Results are self-absorbed. Yes, they are. Cool.
100%. 100%.
Learning so much today from these lives.
Yeah. 100%. And that's like, and Onike, definitely has approached her career like that. She's just like, that's how she does it. There's no result. She does projects that she wants to do. She does things that she cares about. And that allows you to really sit in and allow your artist to come alive. And I think in the long run, a lot of people starting out will have the fear of doing that. You know what I mean? Because it is an industry that can be hard on the psyche because you have a lot of people being like, why are you doing this? Oh, you're going to fail and blah, 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 blah. It's not very straightforward. You know what I mean? And it's hard to, there's this thing of like, I find actors not wanting to commit 100% sometimes. And, I always say to people, it's better to commit 100% for 1 year than 10% for the rest of your life. Because I find a lot of people do that, right? Whether it's the thing where you're like, okay, I'm not going to do this because, it's just that thing where like you want to give yourself permission to say, this is what I'm doing. It's a job. It's a craft.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to justify it to anybody. And I'm going to invest in it. I'm going to invest time. I'm going to invest money. I'm going to, go the extra mile, like you hear stories about people who sleep in their cars and take a train to LA and all that stuff. I mean, you're not doing that, but like, are you committed to the degree that you could to make this happen? Like, have you given that 100%? Give 100% for a month. Give 100% for an hour. Give 100% for a day, right? See what it feels like. Right? See what it feels like. Give it for a week, see what it feels like, right?
Yeah.
Hey, after a month of giving 100%, you're like, nah, you know what, it's not working. I'd rather go back to 30%. All right, fine. But like, just give, 100% hour can change your week.
I love that. I heard someone share this word of wisdom when it was put something on tape every day. It doesn't matter what it is, just put it there. You don't have to post it. You don't have to share it. It's just you doing something every day to commit to your craft. And I love that so much, yet to implement it. But I did love that idea because why not? Like, this is just your practice and this is your career and you have to stay on it. So you're ready. You always have to be ready because when the opportunity comes and you go, oh no, I have so much to do. Well, that's not helpful. That's not going to be successful. So you should just always be in that ready state. And it was not motivating enough to get me to do it every day, but motivating enough that I feel the need to share it with others. So,
well, I think it's just starting somewhere. Like anything, it's hard to have consistency, whether you're trying to work out or whatever it is. I know that 100%. But I think it's about, being ready, like you said, and being ready to give, because this industry is about what can I give. And there has to be a certain ease, right? And one thing that I think everybody's looking for in the industry, I know, especially on the casting side or whatever, is you want to look for ease, meaning that even though it's hard work, I need to know that you've worked your craft to the point where there's ease in what you're doing, because that's what you're giving. Like, that's the generosity. Like, if you have somebody who's, you've ever had good service, right? If you want to serve, ease is a key component, right? Because if you ever had somebody do something, you're like, wow, I can't believe they did that, or they went the extra mile, or this restaurant really goes whatever, or wherever you've been, and there's a sense of ease. somebody could be doing the same thing and they look like they're dying doing it, or they're struggling. And now it's no longer this thing that you appreciate, because now you feel bad. And you feel, oh my God, I feel bad. I have to help them. Now you can't appreciate the gift. But when it's done with ease, you can receive it and say, wow, thank you. That was amazing. I've had Uber drivers that, could win Oscars. You know what I mean? And just because were just so exceptional, and they did it with a smile on their face and without blinking. But you have to have an ease to your craft. If you walk in, it doesn't matter what you do. If it looks like you're struggling, if it looks like if it's painful, if it looks like you didn't sleep at all.
My God, you're describing so many of my self-tapes.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, okay, you know what? I don't want to so it takes a certain level of practice to get to the point to make something look easy. And until it's easy, and I don't mean easy in the sense that like it's not work, but where you've gotten it to a point where you can do it with a certain level of ease, that's what looks like professionalism to me.
And I love that you're saying that too, because again, I have so many epiphanies during the time that is now. And I was doing a self-tape a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, wait, why was that so easy? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't overthink it, and I just did it. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this acting? What? So what did I do before? And it was just, okay, this is who I am, this is what it is, I learned it, it's done, move on. I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm an actor right now. And then I lived in that for a whole minute, and then I hated it afterwards. But for that 1 minute, I was a total actor, and it was amazing.
Yeah, there's always going to be something that you get to with ease, and then obviously the trick is then you got to go to that thing that's like still scary and new and hard. And you find that the instant that you get to that level, I always find that when I take on a bigger task, the stuff that I was having drama about becomes really quiet and small. Like you tend to be dramatic
Yeah.
and whatever about whatever's in front of you until something bigger comes along, and then you're like, your brain's like, okay, I'm gonna make that easier now. So I think I think the trick is really just always going beyond your limit, pushing beyond your limit, doing things that are more difficult. I think that's one way of making things sort of easier. You know what I mean? Because it's all relative, right? So, but there's always going to be something scary. There's things that you do and that most people do that people would be like, how do you do that? And like yeah, because you've gotten to a level of ease with it, and it's just something you haven't done. And I think that's how you have to approach every aspect of your, whatever you're doing, really.
That's true. It's such an interesting discussion too, because I guess when people say that to me and I go, I don't know, I just kind of do it and see what happens. And when you have that approach, it's so much easier. I know with this whole window chat thing, I'm like, I don't know. People are saying yes. I'm keeping it going. We'll see what happens with it. I just like chatting with people. So I like that thought process of, you know what, no expectations. I just like to connect with people and, share some knowledge. So yeah, I got to adapt that to my monologue slam this month.
Right, but
Maybe.
scenes, you also have this high level of, of delivery of service, because like you're not just like popping on and being like, oh hey, what's up? Like you sent an email to me and it had like details and instructions and stuff like that. That I should really think about. Like oh, and all these. I was like, wow. So that's what I'm saying. That's what makes you a pro. That's what's high level. I'd say that's like that kind of high level thing. You're not just popping on and pressing a button.
Well, thank you.
To it, and that's something that's like separates you from, what I mean, anybody else doing this, right?
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And honestly, this is similar to my past monologues. When I say, if you watch the first window chats, which were epic fails, and I learned, you know what, this is what I need. I need to add instructions. I need the instructions, it's too wordy. I need to make them bullet points now. I need to have the option of doing a live prior to our actual live. So I just learned. And again, it's the process, which has been discussed. So I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you. But again, I just appreciate you being willing to share your time, because I think you have a lot of knowledge. I think a lot of people have knowledge and amazing stories. And I think it's super inspiring to keep us going in these times.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't keep shouting out Clubhouse because, yeah, it's just such
We're being a little exclusive. It's fine.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's what I thought. That's why I didn't join up at first. But like, there's just so much information out there. There's so many videos on YouTube that I will watch, and I'm like, how is this free? How do I not have to?
Yes, exactly. It's the free knowledge, right? And to a point, I know there's a casting director I met in the States on Clubhouse, and her and another casting director, they just put out YouTube videos on here's how you audition. It is there. It is online. They're commercial, and I forget the other. They do a bunch. They interview all sorts of different people. There's so much knowledge out there to a point where when you get a self tape and you're confused, Google it or YouTube or whatever platform, Bing, if that's a thing. But got to shout out Bing that no one uses. That was funny in my head. But just be aware that there are resources. Honestly, your fellow actor. I think the community is so amazing. When I have a question about a self-tape, I know there's at least 10 actors I can reach out to, and they can give me some great advice, even if we're auditioning for the same role, which is insane. In all the areas I've worked in, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if my physiotherapist friends would help me like this. So I appreciate just knowing that we're all there for each other, because this is hard. And what it comes down to, when they pick you, when they cast you, it's not just the casting director, right? There's so many other people. There's so many decisions that go into the casting process. So why not be a good person, help your fellow actor? And I like to think if you put good out there, it'll come back to you, hopefully. But I don't know, just be a good person in general. I think that's a good way to live, in my opinion. So
Yeah, no, absolutely, and be collaborative. Most people who make it, you know, I think I was quote I posted a while ago about, you know, the community or a team. Or something about it's not the size of your dream, it's the quality of your team or something like that. And most people who really make it anywhere, you look, they have a team. They have a good team. They have, you know, so many great actors who you'd be like, oh wow, they're really best friends with every other great actor. Yeah, there's a reason for that. So you know, you got to surround yourself with people who have the same mindset, who will hold you accountable, who will push you and things like that, and who want to get to that level, because there are, you know, there could be groups where you're not pushing each other, where you're just kind of hanging out and being like, hey, that was really great, but not really holding you accountable, because at the end of the day, this is a business. We are competing with thousands of actors, not just here, but around the world. And, you know, and we're not like an A-list industry per se, you know what I mean? We don't get all the lead roles and things like that. So there's a lot of things we're fighting to improve our industry. And there's just, so the level of craft in Canada overall has got to improve, you know what I mean? It's just got to be continually improving. And I think the more actors that are committed to that, if you're in a circle of actors that are committed to that, and you know, being honest about what that means. What does improvement mean to me? What do I have to improve? Because in a sense, it is art. I can go to it every month and say, or to every audition and say, you know, here's what I'm doing, and I'm just going to do this piece and wish for the best. And you never really know. So you can sit there and be like, hey, maybe it's because they didn't like my face or whatever. And you, as actors, you sit there and you're like, I wish I could find out why, or why I didn't get it, and all the reasons. But there's so many things you do control, right? I posted a video the other day of, I think it was Jessica Chastain or somebody, going through the script notes. And I nerd out for stuff like that. I obsess about stuff. I love script notes. When I used to do self-tapes, actors would bring in their sides, and I'd look at it and be like, there's no notes. We're not doing this. Because, like, you know, there's so much. You have to get to a point where, like, saying words off a page and all that other stuff becomes the easy part. You are a storyteller. Script analysis is such a huge part, because you have to know the story you're telling. The writer is not going to include, there's only so much information, right, on the text. And most of it in their imagination. A script is a very primitive form to tell a story, really, if you've seen a screenplay. It's not even a book. It's not even a novel. It's a screenplay. It's probably like the most, like a calculator almost, right? So you have to now take that and now turn that back into a real life story. And so script analysis is huge. I love seeing scripts. Some of the great scripts, or some of the great actors, have sides, and they're just like, there's notes everywhere. There's a level of curiosity. That's why they're able to make different interesting choices. You know, they're not just sounding out the words, is what I call it. When some actors say,
yeah,
I'm just going to do the scene how it sounds in my head. And what happens is you only have one take, one version. or you send in two versions, and the only difference is, you know, you change your shirt. You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, it's about getting down to what does it mean to really, you know, improve the craft. And I think there's so much straightforward answers out there that are in your control.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of stuff that isn't, but there is so much that is. And until you've covered all that stuff, it doesn't even make sense to worry about what, you know, the casting director thought. It was like, oh, I wonder what they thought. I wish I could get notes. I'm like, well, I got some notes.
I can't. I'm laughing in the sense when you said he changed his shirt, and I thought that's what I would focus on. Oh my gosh, did they not like my outfit? Versus, did I analyze the script correctly? Because there is, oh my gosh, when you work with someone that helps you break down a script, I'm still trying to figure out how to do it on my own. So I work with people, and you go, that's what that line means? I thought it was nonsensical. I thought it was a throwaway line. They go, no, that's important. I'm like, oh, what? And it just changes the scene, and it just makes the audition so interesting. You go, huh, did not expect that audition to look that way, but I'm glad that I took the time to break it down and figure it out. And I think that's what's going to help people stand out, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you could do it really informs your work. I've seen self tapes where they've thrown away every line, and it's just talking, and essentially a word will sound like maybe you think that line sounds like, but there's something different when you really do script analysis. And I mean, I encourage people to be so specific. You know what I mean? And really paragraph by paragraph, line by line, word by word, really go down to the script analysis and really let that inform the decisions that you're making or the choices that you're making or you know the whatever it is your the emotional place of the character or how you're responding to somebody. You know, I think those are all things that are important, and they take you from being a line reader, which is what I guess the only way for me to explain it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Or somebody reading a script from an actor who is living and breathing and bringing a character to life. And you know, I had this conversation with somebody yesterday when they're creating a character, and it's very good, and it was good. Or they made great choices, but then weren't able to make different choices. And I always do this thing where, you know, if I know there's like a specific character that you love or whatever, that's, let's say, on TV, and I get you to do it as that person, all of a sudden the acting improves tenfold. It's this weird thing. And the reason is because that actor has made a lot of nuanced choices and put a lot of information into the character that you now have available if you could do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why we all know how certain characters would respond to certain situations, and that means that's great work that has been done. And so if you find yourself if you cannot make those choices, or if you're confused about what other choices are, that probably means that that's the work that's missing from your work, which is that they've done. And they're never going to tell you what they've done, but I'm sure it's a hell of a lot of work. And so many actors put so much process and time. Olenike is doing a role right now where she has to learn the piano. You know, like like actors really put in work into these things. So, you know, other than learning the lines and just shooting them off, I mean, what more? And script analysis gets easier with time. It's one of those things that the more you do it, the more you can look at a story. Things will just jump out to you. You're like, oh, that's what she meant there. Oh, I heard it this way, or whatever. Because there's so many things to keep track of that, you know, I think that's one thing if I could see more of. It's script analysis and sides that have tons of notes on them. I just love it.
I love that Olenike is trying to learn the piano because it just reminds me of Susan Sarandon when she learned the cello in 2 weeks. That's a hard instrument. In general, learning an instrument in whatever given time frame it's not only are you learning the lines and figuring out the character, but yeah, let's take up the piano, see what happens.
Right.
I'm very excited to see this. Is this for a film?
Yeah, well, it's for a series, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so yeah, and it's kind of cool. And you know, I always think actors are kind of like lawyers in a sense. They're like temporary specialists on things. You know, they'll have to be like to make it believable.
You know what? You say this makes me laugh so hard. I am a physiotherapist, and I will never get cast as a physiotherapist. I don't understand it. I legitimately am so comfortable in this environment, and anyways, that's a sidebar where I'm like, this is me. I am a licensed physio. this is no, it can't get any more real than this. So like, what are people bringing to the table? Like, I have all the tools, I know what to do, and yet apparently this face does not read physio. I like to blame the face, not the script analysis. Now I will go back to the script and watch my past auditions and be like, that's why they didn't cast you, girl. There you go. I like to overshare anyways.
Well, like I said, there's two parts. There's the parts that you don't control and you will never know. And sometimes you do know. Sometimes you'll be like, okay, they went with this route for whatever reason. But yeah, I would say my thing is like, I want to know that I just want to be comfortable that everything that I could have controlled or had to do, that I did that. Once I do that, I'm like, all right, it's all good. You know,
That's true.
Yeah. But you have to know what that is. So it's like, make sure that you know what that is. What are you working to? There's not tons of information, but there is enough information to say, hey, am I doing these things? Am I working at this level? You know what I mean? Because it's a tough job. It's more than just talent. It's a job. It's sitting days and hours on set. It's how to conduct yourself. There's so many pieces to this, and that's why I said Clubhouse is amazing, because you know there's just so much to learn. You see what I'm saying? People who design software or grow potatoes or whatever, they spend a lot of time on it. You know, they go to conferences, they probably read books and seminars and stuff like that, and you really got to be immersed in whatever it is you're doing. Wouldn't you be if you love it, right?
Absolutely. And especially when you can hear from the pros. There was this one actor, Glenn, I want to say his last name's Marshauer. I apologize if it's not. He's not watching, it doesn't matter. But he's been acting for so long that he hasn't had a new headshot in 25 years. They just know who he is. And I believe he was a security guard in 24. I could be totally mistaken. But to reach that level of they just know you, oh. But also he's so generous with his time and just showing up on Clubhouse and just giving that information away. And I really appreciate people that don't forget where they came from. And they go, you know what? I was in these shoes once and let me help you. And I love that so much. And I think that's why during these times, even though, look, life's whatever, but it's still knowing that you can reach out to people and there's a community there. And I just am so grateful for that. I'm always grateful for anyone that like watches or supports what I do. And I try and watch and support my fellow actor as well. And because we have time now, but also people are doing some really amazing things. So just be aware of what's going on in your community.
Yeah, 100%. There's way more information out there available there's more information being given than there is being received, I think. Because there is people, like if you have information, you know, I think it's great to share. I love sharing information. What am I going to do with it? You know what I mean? And it actually informs me more. The more I share the information, it evolves, you know? So, you know, and I think that's the same with anybody who does that. So with all that information, really, there's no excuse not to be constantly learning.
Well, I mean, look, it can be quite daunting because there is so much information, right? And it's just, oh my gosh. And also sometimes conflicting information where you go, okay, this person said one thing, but I heard this from someone else. So it can get a little mishmash confusing because there's really sometimes no industry standard. So from that point, I get not knowing what to listen to and what to let go of. But there are some general tips that are constant in the industry, at least I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I find like there's just not, you know, and you saw this in Clubhouse where there's a hesitancy to ask questions or to gain information.
That was only in our Canadian room, okay? I love everyone that comes to our Toronto Actors Hub. Everyone is so polite. I don't want to talk over someone. I don't want to ask a question. Maybe it's silly. There's no question that's silly. We are there for you. In the US rooms, raise a hand. It's honestly, some of the questions I've heard when I say there's no dumb question, they have been said in those rooms. Like, what is that question? So it's fine. They ask them with confidence. Just ask. It's fine. We're Canadians. We're very friendly. We will not bite. And why not just put it out there? Because honestly, half the time if someone has a question, 5 other people are thinking it. So just get it out there. Ask it. Rip off the Band-Aid. It's fine.
Yeah. And I know there's a thing where like you're sitting there and you're like, all of a sudden, whatever question you would have had disappears. And you're like, I don't have a question. And you really got to dig deep. I find that in those moments, you got to really think about like, okay, what have I been struggling with, you know, and then you kind of find a question that is specific and matters to you. But I do get that thing when you're sitting in a group and they're like, does anybody have a question? You're like, your brain goes blank. But, you know, it's like...
That's it, because you know what? It's not, I always have questions. My head is full of questions, but it's, ooh, is this question smart enough to ask in this forum?
Right. Yeah, it's
Whatever.
gotta
Like
take the,
just, yeah.
yeah, yeah, don't let your ego.
That's the thing, right? It doesn't matter. Just and I think that's why I started saying, yeah, just come up and say hi. I mean, because something will come out of you introducing yourself, and then we'll ask you a question. Be like, oh yes, I did have this question. This is a safe space to talk. And you go, hey, welcome, cool, connect with each other. That's usually what I'm doing. It's an audio only app, but I'm usually walking around my place, doing things that my husband goes, oh, she's on Clubhouse, she's yelling. Because I don't know about you, but when it's audio only, I talk so loud, and no one can say to me, hey, Robyn, you gotta tone down the audio. Because I don't know, for some reason, I can't see how people react to me talking. So I think maybe if I talk louder, it'll resonate stronger. The
Well,
logic is terrible.
too, because there is this thing about like, so I noticed this with self tapes, and I give this note a lot, is that when people are doing self tapes and they're doing it over Zoom or whatever, they tend to change or modulate, as if they're talking to, raising their voice or whatever, as they're talking to a camera. And I always have to remind them that, yes, you're talking to a camera, but I want to believe that this person's in the room with you. So it still has to be private, you know what I mean? So I get that thing. We're talking to a device. We naturally have a tendency to, or we lean in and we're talking to the thing. But
That's when you
yes,
get
that's
really close.
like to the viewer, I'm imagining that the person is still in the room with you, and you have to remember that person still has to be in the room whenever you're doing it.
Absolutely.
It's one of the notes I give the most now that everything's gone virtual. Eventually, you won't. I need to ask questions after you've done what you've prepared.
She's
Yeah,
she's a pro. That's the problem. You're
yeah.
too good at what you do.
When you get to that level, yeah. Maybe the only thing you ask is like, what's the Wi-Fi password, but that's about it.
Yes, that's hilarious. Andre, I'm looking at the time, and I hope I didn't say we're only doing this for half an hour because we've been chatting for over an hour. So I apologize. I'm like, what was our time frame today? Normally people ask me, but I love chatting with you, and I love everything that you're saying. So I will shamelessly plug some more things. If you want to hear more from Andre, he's on Clubhouse. I know, guys. Oh, I don't have an Apple, but they're opening for Android, so get excited. He's got a Monologue Slam Club. It's pretty cool. Follow Andre. What did I say? Andre? That was fancy. But follow him and check out his club. And just honestly, check out the free information. Look at the Monologue Slam. Look at the people that have won. Figure out how to get better from there because it's all there and they're available for you. And it's free. I love freebies. So keep working on your craft. Find people to make yourself accountable and just get better. Keep growing. Keep staying inspired and pushing through. And I think I plugged everything I wanted to plug for you. Did I miss
Yeah.
anything?
No, just everything. We're up next month, and
Yes.
deadline is the 21st at midnight. Just work on your craft. Really put some notes. Think about what you want to improve on this month. It could be the smallest thing, whether it's your listening, whether it's your voice, whether it's privacy. Find one thing, find a piece that challenges you, and submit that. And really focused on the process. You're building a process, essentially, is what you're building, not a result.
I did a chuckle when you said privacy because I really want my monologue to just be me in a corner. I need privacy. And it's going to be the whole minute of me wanting privacy. It's a choice.
Hey, do it. I think there's a an exercise that I've seen called private moment, and that's all it is. It's because even as I'm talking to you, I know that my voice is projecting for no reason, because I'm sure you could hear me if I wasn't, to a screen versus like if Robyn was sitting there right there.
We are performers. That is. Oh, I might have. Oh no. Nope, you're blinking. You're here. I think I spoke over you and you were saying something. Classic Instagram live. Am I right? But yes.
No, I'm still here. But yeah, no, this was awesome, and I'd love to do another Clubhouse. Yes, Esther. Shout out to Esther. I would love to do another Clubhouse with you anytime. So.
Oh, hey, cool. Do it tomorrow. We did not think of a theme yet, so you are more than welcome to come back tomorrow and be our guest.
All right, I'm there.
We probably should have discussed it. Like, no, Robyn, I really don't want to. I mean, I guess I said it on this forum, so I'll do it. So cool, awesome. We'll see you tomorrow on Clubhouse.
Yeah, join everybody. It's a good
Yes,
app.
indeed. But thank you so much for your time, Andre. Really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate that. And guys, don't give up. You got this. Words of encouragement. Okay.
Thanks, Robyn.
Thank you. Bye.